I would like to call this meeting to order. Good evening, welcome, and Madam Secretary, you can take roll.
Mr. Frank.
Here.
Mr. Davis.
Here.
Mr. Castro.
Here.
I'm here. You're here. Hail, hail.
Yes, okay, the Pledge of Allegiance, please. When I give you a signal, go ahead.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Too many things on the brain right now, but we'll get through. Our youth advisor, or student advisor, is not quite here yet. We'll expect him shortly. And today, I'll let the superintendent introduce.
Thank you, Madam President. The Columbia Elementary Choir is led by Director Paul Halstead. Mr. Halstead has been a longtime employee of Las Cruces Public Schools, retiring as Assistant Choir Director of Mayfield High School in 1990. Dedicated to our students, he came out of retirement to work with elementary schools as a music teacher. Tonight, the 5th grade students will be performing the song, "If I Had a Hammer."
I need to go out and get my phone. I tell you, cuando se juntan las cosas.
Would you like Tim to go get it?
Huh?
Like Tim to go get it?
That'd be fine. I'm over here. I'll just go give him the keys.
You sure? Okay. Can we go to approval of agenda to remove the consideration of
Oh, okay, it's still on here, huh? Okay,
I'll just ask you to.
okay. Okay, that's fine.
All right. Good job. right. All right, good job. Bravo. Let's give him another round of applause. What a great job. Yeah.
And I just want to say, welcome back, Mr. Halsted. It's good to see you, okay?
Super job. Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Go back to my agenda here. I will entertain a motion to approve the October 20th, 2015 closed executive minutes, October 20th, 2015 regular meeting minutes, the November 9th, 2015 board retreat minutes, November 17th, 2015 closed executive session minutes, and November 17th, 2015 regular meeting minutes. Look at it, clear it out completely.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. We have a first and a second. Okay. All in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. And now we're going to move on to the approval of the agenda, and I believe,
Are you going back to
Madam.
1B?
oh, did I skip something?
Oh, you may want to welcome your student
Or
Oh,
one
advisor.
yes.
C, rather.
Oh,
I'm
okay,
sorry.
yes, I was going to, but well, Andre, welcome.
Thank you, Madam President.
Let's go on to the approval of the agenda, and
Thank
you
you.
wanted to make an amendment?
Madam President, I would like to ask the board to withdraw from tonight's consideration under item 4A, number 1, discussion and approval of policy waiver for the Country Music Festival. As the board heard this morning in your joint meeting with the city has removed their request for us to consider use of our Field of Dreams soccer fields, and therefore that is no longer in order. So I'd like to recommend, as you approve the agenda, simply to remove item 4A1 from consideration.
Okay, so I will entertain a motion to approve the amended agenda by removing 4A. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And I need a second.
Second?
Any discussion on this change? Then all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. We now move on to 1H, approval of consent agenda items. I will entertain a motion to approve consent agenda items 5A1, approval of vendor payments, 5A2, approval of budget adjustments, 5A3, approval of property dispositions, and 5B1, approval of student out-of-state travel. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we now go on to recognitions, and Mr. Rounds.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. This evening, under our first recognition, I have the wonderful opportunity to recognize our 2015 National Agri-Science Teacher of the Year. Rachel Knight, who's the agriculture educator at Centennial High School, and Rachel, come on up, is one of only 6 individuals nationwide who received the Agri-Science Teacher of the Year award. That's one of 6 in the nation. The award was presented at the 2015 National Association of Agriculture Educators Convention in New Orleans last month. This award recognizes teachers who've inspired their students through engaging and interactive lessons in the science of agriculture. Rachel Knight has been teaching agriculture for 9 years. Her program includes classes in wildlife management, environmental science, agriculture leadership and communication, and animal science. Rachel has worked to incorporate agri-science concepts into her curriculum at all levels. Rachel's program has a unique relationship with Guide Dogs for the Blind, as many in the room will remember other presentations to the board. In collaboration with 3 other schools, students have the opportunity to raise guide dogs from puppies, socializing and training them for use by the visually impaired. Her program provides other opportunities in veterinary medicine, including internships at the local veterinary clinics and work opportunities at the animal science farm at New Mexico State University. And Rachel's been selected more than once as a finalist for Teacher of the Year, but this year, they finally got it right. Rachel, congratulations. Come up and Madam President, perhaps? And I know we want to take a photo op with you, Rachel. Yes, please.
So you have to come for one of the photos.
Yeah, you do.
I wanted him to come up.
Yes, yes. You're tall, Audrey.
Shrink a little bit, would you please? Very good, congratulations. Get another round of applause. Praise God, I'm so proud of you. Yeah, they finally got it right. Now, Madam President, I believe that moves us to item 2, sub 2, which is the 2015 Electric Fuel Meet Champions. And this has to do with Vista Middle School and the Electric Car Challenge. Two Mesa, and let's have you guys come up. You look great, by the way. And Madam Principal, you might want to join them. I don't know if you're proud of them or anything, but come on up. Two Mesa teams from Vista Middle School competed against 42 other teams statewide in the New Mexico Middle School Electric Car Challenge. Now, Vista is still the only school representing southern New Mexico for the past 4 years. The primary goal of the competition is to generate enthusiasm for science, technology, and engineering and math, STEM, as we call it, skills, at a crucial stage in the development of middle school students. Now, each team had the option to compete in an oral presentation discussing the advantages and disadvantages of electric-powered cars versus gasoline cars. Students were then asked questions regarding their research by scientists from Sandia and Los Alamos National Laboratories. The students were led by advisors Rebecca Fuentes and Josh Weisner. And folks, they are the winners. So congratulations to them. And parents, if you want to come up closer, we're not going to be offended if you want to bring your cameras with you.
Okay, we go one more time, smile. Good, thank you.
Now, hold on just a minute. We got some parents that like to take pictures. A teacher, please, absolutely. Look there, guys. You want another set of pictures? Let's get really good ones. Perfect. All right, thank you. Please, absolutely. Ms. Hammond, let me turn it over to you.
Right here?
And we'll do it there from the lectern.
Okay. Do you guys want to stand next to her? You could have stayed up there and looked really pretty. You could have. Here, stand behind her.
Ms. Hammond, you never say that to me.
That way we can hold the face up if she falls.
Just 7th and 8th.
Okay, go ahead, Faith.
Well, since we did win first place overall for oral presentation, you would think that I would have this memorized, but we are a little nervous. I think I speak for us all whenever I say that electric fuel was an amazing experience. We had fun. We stressed out over learning our parts. We stressed out over getting our boards done in time. But we all made new friends. We're all friends with each other, and that was kind of difficult not being in a club just because we're both from separate grades. Electric fuel really gave all of us students willpower to never give up and always keep trying. I remember Mr. Wisner and Ms. Fuentes telling us that during the competition, two of the only things that matters is that we tried our best and that we had fun. And we did both, which had us come home with the first place trophy. The experience allowed some of our quietest people on the team to actually open up, like David the tall guy back there. We couldn't even say hi to him in the hallway without him like getting really quiet. But he was actually in the back of the bus with us singing Christmas songs on the way back. The last thing I would like to say was thank you to Mr. Wisner and Miss Fuentes. They taught us that hard work, focus, and a little bit of goofing around really paid off in the end. I'm looking forward to joining Hydrogen Fuel next year.
Great. Well, congratulations again. What a wonder. That's a pretty nice little trophy there, too.
And I really appreciate that they're working on the future. This is the way it's going. We're going to become independent of fossil fuels. And my husband can hardly wait. So, congratulations
Madam
again.
President, if I may.
Yes.
I mean, I went to Vista for middle school, and there's definitely, there's good things happening all around the district, but I think this is one of the shining gems of Vista Middle School, and it just kind of shows how they go above and beyond to really provide the foundation. And so just thank you and congratulations to you all.
Great, from an alumnus. Very good. Okay, we now move on to public input, but I am not sure if we have any. No? Okay. All right, so then we'll move right along. Let's see where we're at next. And now we move to the superintendent's report.
Yeah, Madam President, so since we moved item 4A1, we're at 4A2, and today we have a successory video. And Madam President, as we talked in Albuquerque last week, we have not spent the time we need to recognizing New Mexico Public Schools are us. And so we are New Mexico Public Schools. So if I may, Bill, let's roll that video. I think it's going to be something we'll all enjoy.
So this is the state version.
This is the state version. We're working on one locally,
Okay.
but we'd love to see this. That isn't good.
Because we do not have student help in the back.
While he's resetting it, Madam President, let me, just for the audience's sake, say to you this. We're doing good work in New Mexico, and one of the things we're focusing on is that good work. You see, myself and many other people are products of New Mexico schools. We have spent our entire lifetime, I have, in New Mexico, both all the way through college even. And so one of the things we've all agreed that we need to do, and the New Mexico School Boards Association, Madam President, members of the board, as you saw last week and other times, have produced a program called I Am New Mexico Schools. And it's tied to a national effort that we're making to talk about public education and the good things that are happening in that particular regard. And so this video is a video produced for the state New Mexico School Boards Association in our effort to spread the good word about public schools. And I see we're starting things back up. And so, Madam President, what you may want to do is move on to the agenda. And then when we're ready, perhaps we can come back here and do the presentation.
Okay, that sounds good. We'll move on to 4B, this is for Dr. Marufo, please.
Yes, good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Rounds. Tonight's employee report for the month of November represents 6 offers of employment for certified staff, 10 resignations, and 4 retirements. There's 8 offers of employment for classified staff, 11 resignations, and 4 retirements. I stand for any questions you may have.
Board members, do we have any questions? Okay, no? Okay. Thank you, Dr. Marufo, and that'll take us now to finance and Mr. Dean.
Madam President, members of the board actually caught me off guard because everything was on the consent agenda. However, we do have a donation from for the marquee at Alameda Elementary, and I believe that we have representatives here to. Yes, Deborah.
Ms. Rosencrantz, come on up. Madam President, the reason we're taking actions on both donations is under your school board policy. It requires after we cross certain amounts that the board approve the donation, and that's what we're in the process of doing with this. So Deb?
Madam President, board members, Superintendent Rounds and staff, and members of the audience. I am so excited tonight to be able to tell you that Alameda Elementary is receiving an electronic marquee donated by Citizens Bank. And I have with me our 2 staff members at school that were instrumental in making this happen. Maria Hatch, she is a 5th grade teacher at Alameda, and Andres Armijo, and he's our technology teacher. So I'm going to turn it over to them because, like I said, they were really instrumental in seeing that this happened.
Madam President, members of the board, thank you for having us tonight. We just wanted to come and get this approval made very quickly, if we can. We've been working on this since the beginning of the year. We've partnered with Citizens Bank. Rena Phillips is the Assistant Vice President of the bank. We've had close relations with her in the past, and we wanted to get this rolling. Our marquee has been falling apart for years, and a digital marquee is definitely beneficial for communication with the community, and we feel we can get a lot of things out to the parents. That's bottom line. Mm-hmm. So it's a $16,000 donation from Citizens Bank. And and Maria Hatch was instrumental in getting the sign company together. She got all the file work with that together. And Rena Phillips, I'm not sure, we invited I'm not sure if Citizens Bank showed up today, but they will be there for the ribbon cutting ceremony. We're gonna have a ribbon cutting ceremony in January. When we return, we will have all students involved. And we'd like to invite board members as well for that ribbon cutting.
Very good, just
So
let us know when.
Yes, we will. Just to let you know, it starts in 2 days. That's why we'd like to get that contract signed.
Great.
So Madam President, we're recommending you do approve this wonderful donation from Citizens Bank for Alameda so that they can get their new marquee in place and have our opportunity to enjoy that as soon as we return for the new year.
Very good. Thank you for your efforts. I will now entertain a motion to accept the donation of an electronic marquee for Alameda Elementary School.
So moved. Second.
So, first and a second, any discussion or questions? Okay, then, all in favor? Do we need to do a roll call?
Madam President, you do not need to do a roll call. You may do a
Okay.
voice vote.
All right, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so it passes. Thank you very much for your efforts.
Yeah.
Madam President, the next item on there, item number 5, is the donation of the Hour of Code. Now, this was kind of a strange name, but it's a really cool event from Oñate High School. As Mr. Shopacom makes his way to the microphone to speak to you, I'll get one piece out of the way. Mr. Rounds, I recommend the approval of the donation.
Great, and now I'm going to ask Bill for some traffic keeping here. I see that he's brought up to YouTube, and Bill, is this the earlier video that you have?
That's the Hour of Code. Oh, no.
Okay, if you gentlemen don't mind, can we do the hour, and then we'll be back in order for your item. So Bill, we'll go ahead and roll that one if you like.
We are New Mexico Schools, Bill.
Trying to get to buffer.
My favorite subject is science.
My favorite subject is math. Math and science. I want to be a doctor. An animal helper. I want to be the first Native American president.
New Mexico Public Schools
stand proudly in our neighborhoods as the one institution that is open to all children equally, providing the finest educators, administrators, and support personnel in the world, dedicated to helping every child realize the American dream.
It is the only place where individuals, no matter on their race, gender, where they come from, their family name, doesn't matter where that comes from. Everyone has an equal playing field.
The best part of teaching for me is helping kids to understand that their potential really has no bounds as long as they dream.
And I want to be a technology engineer or a forensic scientist.
English and photography.
I want to be a lawyer.
I would like to be a scientist because I think science is cool. I want to be an electrical engineer. When I grow up, I want to be a pediatrician because I like to work with kids.
I've really gotten to discover who I am and where I belong in the world.
When I went through the public school system, it taught me how to communicate with other students of all different cultures. I've worked in the outside world for over 40 years nonstop. Public schools helped me do that.
I'm an artist. I am a santera. I have a piece that was taken to the Vatican as a gift to the Pope by the Archbishop. I can tell you that so much was made open to me because of public education.
Hoping to go into architecture.
I want to become an orthopedic surgeon.
I want to study criminology.
So I could grow up and be what I want to be, a firefighter.
New Mexico's public schools educate heroes such as firefighters, police officers, emergency workers, and the men and women who defend our shores.
New Mexico public schools put kids first. Kids are our top priority. You never turn your switch off for your students because you're like, how do I reach this kid? How do I reach this kid? How do I get, this kid engaged in my class? 9 o'clock at night, you have epiphanies, and that just means that you're constantly thinking about it all the time.
The light bulb moments, all of a sudden they just get it. And you just see this brightness in their eyes, and you just see this overwhelming confidence just stir up inside them.
Teachers are excellent. They really care about the students, they really work with the parents, and it's a two-way street.
Public schools excel in broadening minds and getting children ready for the real world.
I want to become a teacher and change someone else's life the way that they changed mine.
As a nation, if we want to be competitive with the rest of the world, our students, our citizens, have to be educated, and public education provides that.
New Mexico's public schools are accountable. Your children are our children, and the key to our future.
I ask all of our teachers when they go through our training, teach every single child in your class as if they were your own. Picture your own child, grandchild, sitting in a seat in your classroom. And what would you be doing right now? Would you be giving it your all? Absolutely.
And we all are working really hard, trying to figure out the best way to reach every single one of our kids so that we tap into all their potential.
New Mexico public schools have never been so focused on student achievement as they are today.
It's not just about standing in front of the room and lecturing anymore. We have to engage students, and it's made education better.
My goal is to teach them to love learning and to want to come back and to realize that they have the power in them to learn and do anything.
My success is your success.
My success is your success.
My success is your success.
My success is your success. New Mexico's public schools embrace more than 325,000 children. Our public schools are their hope for future success, and that will affect every community and each of us every day.
It's important for every child to have an education. Who's to say that a minority child coming from an impoverished family cannot be the next president or the next person to cure cancer? So we have to offer those opportunities to everybody.
I left Sandia Labs to become a teacher. It's that whole thing about the brain power that we need, because we have such complex problems, and that we need the brain power of every child.
I believe if they're going to be successful in their life, it's going to start at the school. So I do believe that they are the key to our kids' success.
New Mexico Public Schools started me on my journey because of what they instilled in me. Integrity, my character, my proficiency, my perseverance, and my love for knowledge. They did that. They were there for me, and they are there for every other student.
We're not just educating children, we're building our future, and that's not just their future, it's everyone's future. If you are interested in your community being the best that it can be, then you need to invest in public education.
I am New Mexico Public Schools.
I am New Mexico Public Schools. I am New Mexico Public Schools.
I am New Mexico Public Schools.
Thank you, Madam President. I am New Mexico Public Schools, a lifetime of it. So we want to work with the board and with our community over the next several months to produce a video of our own, to be able to look introspectively at the good work we're doing and proclaim the victories we have in public education. You know, it's what makes America great, but more importantly, it's what makes New Mexico great. So, Madam President, we could move on back to item 5A5, if that would please the board.
That is fine.
Madam President, Bill, are we ready to roll the next video? Ms. Shopcom, I know you will have a presentation, but I think the video runs first. Is that the plan? We'll try to get there with you.
Hi, I'm Leah.
And I'm Tanya.
And we're lucky enough to be studying computer science.
Hi, I'm Tanya.
We think it's terrible that 90% of schools don't teach it.
They definitely didn't offer it at my high school.
Thanks.
So we're trying to make this video to show that anybody can learn. We want to get 10 million students to do the Hour of Code.
Hour of Code.
Hour of Code.
The Hour of Code.
Hour of Code.
Hour of Code.
Hour of Code.
How do you get him to get to the sunflower? He needs to do some actions.
I got it. Hey.
And then we'll run it and see what happens.
Amazing.
There we go.
You just wrote your first program.
I wrote it?
Yeah. This is the code that you just wrote.
Very awesome.
I thought like code was like FBI hacker symbols and stuff.
A little bit of problem solving, a little bit of logic. It's like instructions.
Programming is a lot easier today. Don't just play on your phone, program it.
All right.
Awesome.
How does someone go about getting a job?
Maybe take an online class, find a class at a community college. You could get one of the best paying jobs in the world.
I think medicine's moving into the whole computer age.
Technology touches every part of our lives. If you can create technology, you can change the world.
So we're excited that you are participating in today's Hour of Code.
We just did 2 lines of code. 3 lines of code.
4 lines.
7 lines.
5 lines.
Escribir 25 líneas de código.
5 lines.
60 lines of code.
99 lines.
60 lines.
18 lines of code.
75 lines of code.
Doesn't matter how old you are.
Todos lo pueden hacer.
The hour of code.
Hour of Code.
Ya programe a code.
The Hour of Code.
The hour of code.
The Hour of Code.
Whether you're a young man or a young woman, whether you live in a city or a rural area,
Everybody in this country should learn how to program a computer.
And I just completed the hour of code.
It's actually really easy to learn.
Girls should learn this too.
Understand that language that's going to be the future.
anyone can learn computer science. And you can learn too.
Jack Dorsey, Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, all of y'all, I'm learning.
Give it a shot.
Here, now they can't tell me nothing. We give that to the people, spread it across the country. Labels out here, now they can't tell me nothing. We give it to the people, spread it across the country. Here we go.
Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Rounds, Jeff Waugh, a business teacher at Oñate, computer science teacher, came to me after school one day and, is this real? I said, well, I don't know, $10,000 donation. So Jeff actually started this about 3 years ago, just on his class level. So we're moving into the AP Computer Science now, which he just got back from Boston. And I believe Las Cruces sent somebody and Centennial sent somebody. So we're moving into more of the AP Computer Science with this. So computers are everywhere, but fewer schools teach computer science than 10 years ago. Good news is we're on our way to change this. If you heard about the Hour of Code, you might know it made history. In 1 week, 60 million students tried computer science. So that's why this Friday, we're going to have about 1,500 students at Oñate High School try this. We had to adjust our schedule again because Hour of Code doesn't get together with Park and of course, people in New Mexico. So we had to change our schedule a little bit, but we're going to be in the Commons as the largest educational event in history, the Hour of Code, and we're actually going to do that on Friday. Google, Microsoft, Apple, AT&T, President Obama, Bill Gates, Ashton Kutcher, people that you saw on the screen, have all backed the Hour of Code. Over 500 partners have come together to support this movement. So we're hoping you will accept this donation. We're going to do a kickoff this Friday at 1:30. It's actually 1:30 to 2:30 in our Commons. I know, Madam President, you responded that you're going to come try to code with us. I've been playing with the app a little bit.
I have to code?
Yeah, we're gonna teach you how to code.
I'm gonna need a lot of time here.
We're going to teach you how to code. We have a lot of local dignitaries going to show up and say a few words and kind of learn how the coding process goes. So I would say we stand for questions, but I'm going to leave the question part to Mr. Walk because it's way over my head.
Now, I have a question, one I should ask my board members, but how many students are coding now because of this, because of your class?
Well, currently we don't have computer science class right now due to the schedule, but it'll start here in the spring.
Okay.
But every year we've done it. We've done a school-wide initiative as well as Cruces and Centennial. We've all kind of worked together on getting it done. So I couldn't tell you the exact amount, but over time, every student that's been to Oñate has coded at least once.
Okay, that's very exciting. Board members, are there any questions or comments?
Will you be doing this again? I'm unable to come on Friday because I'm already up to my neck and busy, but will you be doing it again so that we can, those of us who don't get there can participate?
Yes, you can come in whenever you want into our class, and the kids will sit down, and the hourofcode.com is actually the website, and it'll always be there, and the assignment, the activities are always on there. As for it being, it's CS Ed Week, and that's the reason that this all happens at the same time as they're trying to push the CS Ed side of things. We're really trying to push the AP Computer Science Principles, which is a new class coming out next year that the College Board has just come up with. That's why we went to Boston for the weekend, and they rolled out everything. As we really are leading the nation here with Las Cruces Public Schools, with Dr. Sanchez led us in that direction and supported mainly Oñate, but also the other programs. We're all writing the curriculum for the statewide computer science programs. So you can come in whenever you want.
Okay. Any other board members? Andre?
Madam President, so last year Centennial had the Hour of Code, and I didn't get to participate in it, but you know I got to see everyone else doing it, and I mean it was amazing to see. And actually, I mean last year I think we were offering 2 or 3 blocks of Hour of Code, and this year the class is offered every single period. All 8 classes are offered, and it's AP Computer Science. I mean it's an amazing program.
Yes, Melody at Centennial is an amazing teacher, as well as Lauren and Elise at Las Cruces High School. They're amazing teachers.
Well, we really appreciate your taking this forward and making it happen in Oñate. So,
Thank you.
And I will now entertain a motion to accept the Hour of Code check donation.
So moved.
Okay. So we have a first and a second, and any discussion or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It passes.
Congratulations, Jimmy. Thank you.
Congratulations and good luck with this.
And
I
the
look forward to
the big check came in the mail yesterday. So.
Yes. You didn't want to bring it here, huh? Thank you very much. So now we go back to Mr. Dean.
Madam President, members of the board, Mr. Rounds, included in your packet tonight is the financial report, is the board's financial report as of the end of November. We've gone over this several times, so I stand for questions.
Okay. And board members, do we have any questions? You continue to do illustrious work. And thank you for answering my questions online as well, okay? Because I always have questions, but I get them out of the way early. Thank you, Mr. Dean. Sure. We go on to instruction. Ms. Fletcher.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Rounds. I am going to just give you a quick update on what we know about the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, or as it is now called, the ESSA, for Every Student Succeeds Act. We have a little presentation coming up. Okay, so as you may know, this is the latest iteration of what was the No Child Left Behind Act, so this will be its replacement. And it did pass the U.S. House of Representatives last week at an overwhelming majority, so 359 to 64. So I think we could say it has broad bipartisan support and is expected to pass the Senate soon. And just some of the highlights, that you will see a shift to more local control. So instead of the feds developing the accountability plans, it will be the states doing that, and they are mandated to consult with local education agencies. So us, you, teachers, parents, policymakers, school staff. Now, accountability is still alive and well in the ESSA. The plans must have high standards that are aligned to college and career readiness. There's still annual testing in grades 3 through 8 for reading and math, and then once reading and math in 9 through 12. Science is still tested in the grade bands of 3 through 5, 6 through 9, and 10 through 12. It does let states set targets for the total amount of time on testing, so that's probably a nice change. And the state goals, interestingly enough, are not just academic, so they can also include up to 49% of a non-academic indicator like student engagement, school culture, things like that. And I'm sure you will appreciate that. States are now free to craft their opt-out laws. The feds still require the 95% participation rate, but it is up to the states to decide what those penalties would be for not meeting that. And there are no federal NCLB-like sanctions for poor performance, although the states still have to develop an intervention plan for the bottom 5% of schools and those with graduation rates of less than 67%. Really nice thing for our community is that it really does emphasize early childhood education, so it's prioritized with an authorization of another $250 million. It also requires the states to use at least 15% of their funds from the Comprehensive Literacy State Development Grants for pre-K, which I think will be a great asset to our state. More dollars are authorized to public education substantially, but that doesn't mean that they will be allocated in that way. So we'll just keep advocating to make sure that happens. There was a lot of discussion around this about whether the Title I formula would change, but it will not in this version, but it will be studied. And there's a shift for Title II funds to support higher poverty schools over time. So an interesting one is that the highly qualified teacher status goes away, which gives us a little bit more flexibility in staffing. And ELL accountability shifts from Title III to Title I, so that really starts to prioritize that population, which I think is a good thing. And then one I didn't add in here is that there will be no more federally mandated teacher evaluation through test scores. That doesn't mean that states won't continue to do that, but it's no longer part of what the feds would require. And here's an interesting opportunity. So there is a pilot for 50 local education agencies, and I'm assuming that's one per state, to be able to aggregate their state, local, and federal dollars and design their own formula. So kind of get out of some of the compliance pieces we know our students, to be able to target our neediest schools.
Madam President, we intend on bringing you a plan that would allow us to be the pilot in the state of New Mexico. This is a chance to get away from this categorical funding dilemma and look at the aggregate funding strategies that we would have to best meet our students' needs. And so please stay tuned.
So we are, obviously, this is not complete yet, but we do anticipate that it will pass. And there's a lot of information coming out now, a lot of analyses, and I did give you each, in your packet, some information from the School Boards Association and from the National Superintendents Association. Gives you a little more information about it.
And Madam President, just to put a timeline on it so you can understand what the next progress will be, we expect the Senate to ratify this act this week. We then would expect the President to sign it before the first of the year. And then from that point, for about one full annual year, the rulemaking will go on. And as members of the board, I think, realize the rulemaking is where the proof is in the pudding. And we'll be actually involved in our State Superintendent's Association and also with our congressional delegation to try to help more malleable practice at the federal level to allow as much local option as we can in how we do business. The actual act will not take effect until the 2017-18 school year, Andrew, am I correct? And so it will not affect this year nor next year, but would affect the following year as we move forward. That includes the provisions about opting out, the issue of highly qualified teachers and those kinds of things. We see that as a real opportunity, by the way. It has gotten in the way of us dealing with our student academic needs because the boxes that the Fed has drawn don't fit the needs we have in our instructional process. So we're pretty excited about that, and we'll be trying to exert our interests into the discussion so that we can have the best model possible. Our intent will be to report to you as this moves along. Once we have ratification signature by the President, we'll report that to you. And we will begin to send emails to you as a board as we receive our updates so you can stay current with us. Madam President, we'll be happy to answer questions.
Yep. Board members, any comments or questions on ESEA?
Madam President?
Yes.
How long will this reauthorization stay in force once it begins?
I believe the authorization time period is for the next 8 years. But let me double check that for you. I don't want to be remiss in my answer to you. As the board recognizes, we have been, I believe, 10 years since the reauthorization came up, however, and we have been in an annual rollover rather than reauthorization. So who knows how long it could go in process. That's why we want to get it right now so that we can have something that's more tenable in our practice.
Other board members? Yes, Mr.
I just want to make a comment. I think it's a great step in the right direction. I think it's certainly good news. It's we wanted to hear stuff like this, return of local control, and I think it's happening. I think it's going to improve things considerably, and I look forward to the 1917 when we can do this.
Yes. Any other comments, questions? Okay. Well, this is long awaited and long anticipated, and we're moving away from draconian edicts, and so hopefully it will be an improvement all the way around for everyone, especially our teachers. Very good. So we'll now move on to operations, to the construction projects report.
Madam President, members of the board, Mr. Rounds, included in your packet tonight is the construction report. This is the monthly update. We do not normally present on this, but we will answer any questions that you have.
Anyone have questions on the construction report? It's been pretty quiet, I think, lately, hasn't it?
With Cruces High winding down and just the start of the projects at Hermosa is currently under design and Sierra is currently on the front end, it seems kind of quiet. There's a lot of work going on, but it's a little quieter than what it has been because of the construction at Cruces High. There's still a lot of work going on. It just does not seem as dramatic because Cruces High is currently being rebid for the second phase.
Right, so it hasn't started yet.
No, ma'am.
All right.
Madam President, we've got exciting news today. Mr. Dean sent out an emergency email so we would know that they're actually pouring concrete at Sierra for the basketball courts because we have a downturn predicted in nighttime temperatures. We want to get a good pour on that, so they've accelerated that pour, and I believe it's happening now. Is that correct? Or this weekend, Mr. Dean?
It was poured last night at 2 o'clock in the morning.
There you go. Thank you, Gloria.
Just in case anybody called and said, what was all the racket, I made sure the superintendent knew what the racket was.
So, Mr. Dean, you did say that Gloria was out there to supervise that as the cement.
Yes, sir.
That's good. Thank you, Gloria. We appreciate it.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Dean, and thank you for the report. We move on to board items, and I am noticing that the teacher that asked to be on the agenda is not here, that I know of. Ms. Rios? She was presenting on this. I'm just wondering if she ever got the message.
It
So,
was contacted, Madam President, but I do not see her here. I
yes,
apologize.
no, okay. Well, then we'll.
We'll move that to the next board meeting, perhaps?
Yes, that'll be fine.
Thank you.
And then that takes us on to our policies. And is that Ms. Galvan? We have some fixing to do.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, and Superintendent Rounds. Tonight, we're going to talk about the first reading for a policy you saw last time. It's about competitive food sales and vending machines. Since the last time you took a look at the draft, we added in under the background in letter B, we wanted to have language that would discuss the existing exclusive marketing agreements that we have in the district, so that we are not having competition from outside sales or vending machines that would disrupt the existing exclusive marketing agreements that we do come to terms with. So we did add that in your background statement B. The rest is still the same as it was when you saw it last time, dealing with the vending machines, that we would have vending machines, but we would have control over them. We would have control over what hours they're on. We would have contracts through the purchasing department to regulate all that. We certainly understand there would be fundraising during or after school hours, but those would also have to be in compliance with any USDA or school board or federal or state regulations dealing with the types of foods that can be sold. And some of that now has to be healthy, as you heard Nancy Cathy discuss this morning at your joint meeting with the city. And so we have no further changes. This is your first reading, and we'll be bringing it back for a second reading at your next regular meeting. And of course, if you see anything else that you feel needs to be changed, we can make that adjustment at this time.
Okay, thank you. On this one, board members, any comments or anything that we need to add to this policy? Everyone's good? We can't address food trucks in this policy?
You know, I was thinking about that since your meeting this morning. You wouldn't be able to do anything that's outside of your purview of what you can do with private vendors. You could have a statement that the school district would work with the city government to help entice either changes in ordinance, or perhaps you'd want to have something that would say that our schools would really work to promote having kids enticed to stay on campus. Those are the kinds of things that you could do, but you wouldn't be able to regulate beyond, like, not having food trucks on city property.
Well, or offer to work with them also in the sense of providing better quality food versus, what is it, hot Cheetos with cheese on it?
So making efforts to
Yes.
probably.
To reach out
To
to
reach
that
out
community.
to convey the
vendors.
message.
Yes.
That kind of thing. We could
Yes.
add a statement on that.
Any other ideas from board members? Or Andre, any thoughts on this one?
Madam President, I mean, I've been going back and forth on this all day. I talked with some of my classmates, and I kind of talked about, you know, the whole, you know, going off campus, and also the I guess the draw to food trucks, and I guess I don't know, I guess it's a very tricky situation that the district is in.
Right. Well, we just want to keep our students healthy, and if there are food trucks around our schools, that they be more conscientious of what they're providing the students.
And maybe be made aware or something that
Yes,
we could.
yes. Something, and we appreciate the city's involvement with this today. They were very gracious, and they came up with some very quick solutions, so hopefully we'll see how that works out.
Okay.
But I think we need a little, one more statement perhaps on this one.
Certainly.
Okay? All right, and then we can move on to the first, let's see, the first reading of Business Policy Statement number 500.
Are you going to take that?
I'll do whatever you want me to do.
It's either way.
Okay.
Madam President, this particular policy is restated in the new format. It's basically the same policy that we've had on the board, we've had for many, many years, pretty generic in the new format. I stand for questions and/or revisions.
Any questions for from board members? I think it states the obvious.
Yes.
So it's good. Okay? Yes, sir.
I'm just looking for something that tells us that we're reaching to make sure that there's no fraud or abuse in that somehow. We had discussed that before. The fact is you have all these checks and balances, but just make a record of the fact that we need those checks and balances.
Madam President, Mr. Davis, we do have a policy, and I cannot remember the initials of it. I will get you a copy of it, where it talks about the internal controls that are in place. We have a very good, that's been adopted by the board, but we have a very good and a very strong internal control policy that specifically addresses fraud. If you're looking at fraud, the only place that we perhaps may have a hole is we do not necessarily have a policy that specifically states that if somebody commits fraud, then that's cause for termination. That's the call of the board, that if somebody willingly and knowingly commits fraud, it's a little more difficult to terminate.
But wouldn't that be in the regulation?
Yes.
As opposed to?
Madam President, it's a point of practical application, probably is in the regulation. It is standard practice if you have broken the law and you're arrested for fraud, your job tenancy is very short, and those processes are generally addressed within the regulation about how you deal with that. But I believe, in my view, in the internal control sections, and we'll do the research, Mr. Davis, on that particular citation. Perhaps we can review it along with this to see if it gives us the coverage you're seeking before this moves on to third reading, and we'll do that between now and your next meeting.
Yes.
I feel comfortable with what's there, but you may want to expound a bit.
And Mr. Rounds, if I might,
Yeah.
Mr. Davis, some of those items are going to be covered. There's about 20 financial policies still coming forward. One of them is going to be on fiscal control. And I think there's one more that might be covering that. So those items may be coming up, and we're going to have to make sure we include that kind of language in one of those that it hasn't been revised yet.
And we can always go back and revisit this if we have to.
Yes, Madam President. Yeah.
Okay, so that moves us on to 505, budget development. And is that Mr.
Do you want me to
Dean?
take that, Mr. Dean?
Sure, go ahead.
So 505, on the budget development, originally you have an old policy for budget development. We're maintaining the title, but really that's about all. It's a new policy that would be more specific in terms of making sure that you're following state administrative code or statute. The board's responsibility in a budget development process is to review and approve the annual budget, and that is under position statement A. You also have to ensure that we are having dialogue between superintendent and the Board of Education throughout a budget development process, which is ongoing, more than just, say, for 1 month at a time. C says that you will develop a calendar, a plan, or the superintendent will have a planning calendar, and that will help estimate when timelines are, meetings, hearings, those kinds of things, so you can expect how the budget development will be played out during the year. Number D, letter D, is that stakeholders have to be involved, and that would be everything from students and parents to the district staff, union leadership, and members of the community. E is that you will have a special meeting to consider the tentative budget prior to it coming to a formal presentation so that you can get additional input before that calendar comes to a close. And finally, the last one is that the superintendent will present the budget to the community in an announced town hall meeting or a public meeting of some kind, and that the tentative budget would be on the school district's website for a review. So it really fleshes out that whole development process that you wanted to get involved with in terms of making sure that the budget supports the district's goal and that we're getting input from stakeholders and that it's all transparent. This is your first reading.
Thank you, Ms. Galvan. Board members, do we have any comments?
I have one.
Yes. Mr.
Madam,
Castro?
Chair, I just had one possible comment or suggestion. I don't think there's anything that precludes the board members, individual board members, for example, from accessing the staff anytime they have a question or concern, without infringing on the authority of the superintendent, of course, without any appearance of micromanagement, just for information only.
Are you talking
on an
about
ongoing
in the
basis.
budget development and in trying to get information from stakeholders about how they feel about budget development, that kind of thing, Mr.
Well,
Castro?
going to the staff and about issues and.
Right, that would be included in, being open to stakeholder input, because
right.
you've got to talk to parents, you have to talk to staff, you have to get input, and that means from all parties.
Okay.
It's in D. Look at, D has not limited to parents, student, district staff, union leadership, and members of the community. Is that sufficient, do you think? See this one?
And Madam President, perhaps Mr. Castro, we could get Ms. Galvan with you offline and look at where we might add a statement into this to strengthen your point.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? I have one that I'm wondering if it should be in there, is that the final draft of the budget be released to the board members in a timely fashion so that we have enough time to review it properly. And some of us take a little bit more than 2 days. So
I'll add that in.
some timeliness. Okay.
Certainly.
Thank you very much on that one. And then we move on to a review of an old policy.
So I'll just set this up for Mr. Dean. The next three are the existing policies that you have for acceptance of grant awards, for vandalism protection rewards, which that came up recently when we offered a reward for information leading to who put bullet holes through Cruces High School windows, and then salvageable materials, which the Director of Purchasing and I have discussed. That really needs to be retitled. It's really not about salvageable materials, but obsolete. So we'll be changing the code, letter codes, and the titles, but this is your first read for you to provide Mr. Dean and/or Mr. Puentes any information that you'd like to see in these three policies before they develop them for your next meeting.
Okay. So going back to acceptance of grant rewards. Board members, any ideas of things that we want to add to this? Or can we just send it to you?
Madam President,
as
let
we
me
think about it?
recommend that unless you have some strong first issue, you may want to review those, and then we would certainly, Ms. Galvan, Mr. Dean, or myself would be more than happy to have you send us your thoughts. And we're more than happy to incorporate those in our first writing for your first reading.
Okay, that sounds good. Board members, you'll send things off, okay, regarding these three? And then that will take us on to an old business. The second reading and approval of policy IKF, graduation credit, credit requirements, and that's
Dr. Wendy Miller Tomlinson will be here for that.
Tomlinson.
I was. Thanks, Glenda.
Linda, did I hear the bus run over you? Because I think I just heard it back up.
And somehow I was wondering, was this on the consent agenda? And so.
It was on the consent agenda.
We
We
were
brought
all-
it back out, Madam
Okay.
President, to be sure we reviewed it
Yes,
completely.
got it.
Hey, Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Rounds, I present for second reading the revision to policy IKF graduation credit requirements that adds the provision which will give the district the ability to offer the bilingual and biliteracy seal to graduating students that qualify. This is the second reading, and we recommend approval at this time because it is basically linked to statute.
Okay, so I will then entertain a motion to approve policy IKF graduation credit requirements, adding the statement of the seal of bilingualism, biliteracy.
I so move.
Okay, and we have a first and a second, and all in favor of approving?
Aye.
And I say aye, so it passes. Thank you very much for your work on this, Doctor. Okay, very good. We are now on board member reports and board members. Who would like to speak? Nobody?
Why don't you just give us a
Okay.
review of what we did this
All right.
afternoon?
Okay, this is my report. I attended the great celebration at Mayfield High School, as many of us did, to honor Mr. Morales, and it was overwhelming with spirit. It was like a huge pep rally. Congratulations again to a great teacher. We recently attended the NMSBA annual meeting. I thank my fellow board members for perfect attendance, and also congratulating to the following who received special commendation from NMSBA. And here we have certificates. This is the New Mexico School Boards Association presents this exemplary award to Barbara Hall, and this acknowledges that this board member earned 20 or more hours of mandated training for the year 2014-15. That's for Ms. Hall. For Mr. Davis. For myself, and then for some reason or another, and I'm not sure why, Mr. Castro got 2 awards. And this is for Leadership Achievement Award to Mari Castro. This certificate acknowledges that this board member completed 24 hours of training and is setting up for level 1 of the Leadership Development Program under the New Mexico School Boards Association. So congratulations to all the board members for the awards. And Mr. Frank might be feeling bad, but he was out of town for some of our meetings, so he's going to catch up soon.
Let's give him a round of applause. We're very proud of you.
We heard a great deal about a lot of key issues that we've been talking about here in the district, and it's good to know that we're on the right track. That's what we get when we go. We get confirmation that we're doing the right things in this district and sharing it with other districts. Yesterday I sat in on the student advisory, and there was a good discussion about healthy snacks and issues with lunch. This morning we had our semi-annual joint meeting with the City Council and discussed many important issues, reviewing our MOUs, and I think there's a total of 5 of them. The reduction of teen pregnancy rates in Doña Ana, health security plan for New Mexico, and outside vendors of foods at our high schools. We thank the city councilors for working with us and engaging with us and just finding solutions for things that we have in common. I wanted to, on behalf of the board, to the family of Coach Grace, to the Centennial football community, and to Desert Hills Elementary, that we want you to know that you are in our thoughts and prayers at this time of grief and loss. I know that it has deeply affected those communities and all the district as well. And finally, to the entire staff of LCPS and their families, a most blessed holiday season and a happy and healthy new year. So that's my report today. Let's see where we are. We're ready to go over, yes.
Madam President.
How can I forget? Sorry.
Madam President, last night we did have our Student Advisory Council meeting, and we had a really good discussion on, on the food options available at schools, but also, I guess, a plethora of different, of other things. We're pursuing drafting bylaws and kind of getting everything rolling for the second semester so that by the end of this school year, the Student Advisory Council will be something that can be sustainable. And our next meeting, we're having to look at our next meeting date. It was planned for the 18th, but that's going to be changing due to a school district holiday. So yeah.
And you also had some news. You told us about it yesterday. Do you want to share that?
Yes, Madam President. This past Friday, I was notified that I'm one of 2 selected delegates to represent the state of New Mexico at the United States Senate Youth Program in Washington, D.C.
Yay, bravo. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Okay, and that will then move us on the calendar of events. We have our winter break and our regular board meeting, January 19th, and work session and board meeting in February, so we move right on. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Oh, never mind.